right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, fellow Pandemonium travelers, this is Seattle Pandemonium Shutdown, day 202 by my count. 202 days of civilization being canceled, and then civilization going rogue and feeding on itself. I'd have to count the days. Again, I think I said yesterday, the George Floyd riots began, I believe, on my birthday this year. So, whenever, from my birthday to now, the continuous chaos. What's going on? What's going down? Okay, fine. I'll let you pass because you want to go faster than me, which is probably irresponsible. What was I was just listening to the election stuff, and I talked to a good friend of mine last night about this election integrity issue, and I increasingly I don't have a solution for you. Like, what I have is arguments and counter arguments about what it is that are the issues with, like, the mail-in voting and the severity of the integrity. Like, are our elections functional? Are they trustworthy? And, the mail-in ballot issue, we have had, there's been some issues already. Ballots being thrown in a ditch, ballots being nullified, mail-in elections being nullified in various states. But then you have, like, Washington State. We've had mail-in ballot voting for a long time. And as far as I know, there's not like a solid rebuke or a criticism of our voting practices. But when you can start to chip away at it if you want to. You could say, well, how many, like, the only evidence of a crime you have is a ballot. The ballot exists and you have it. Unless you call or contact every name of every person who filed a ballot, you won't know whether somebody went and stole a bunch of ballots from people's houses, scribbled a signature on it, and then voted how they wanted. And as far as I know, there are literally people who have, like, done this. Like, they've been political operatives who've been paid to, like, do this kind of thing. Go around, ask, oh, hey, do you have your ballot? Have you filled your ballot out? Like, promoting voting in a certain direction, or just stealing ballots and then filling them out. There are political operatives who have done these kinds of things. So it does make me question our elections here in Washington for however many years we've been doing mail-in ballots, which is at least as long as I've been here. And, of course, I have to question whether that is a good idea given the state of the city. And, well, the state of the state, but the state of the city. Like, Seattle is in Washington. We vote on local things also via mail, and here's the result. The result is something like I've called it a shithole country. I mean, something like a failed city. Or we're on the brink of being a failed city. Like, again, so this just goes back to the, like, sort of capital flight discussion and the state of our major cities. Like, I don't know what to say I don't know how to assess how horrific the economic impact is going to be, and whether or not various cities survive, and I don't even know what it means when I say survive. Like they don't become Detroit, and we consider that progress, or we consider that a win, as opposed to them becoming, shining cities on the hill, right? Like New York City. Like, I don't know how they rebuild exactly. But to go back to the election thing, voting by mail in as massive a numbers as is being proposed presents a variety of logistical problems as well as legitimacy problems, and there's just going to be fuckery, and there's not anything you can do about it. Like, there'll be fuckery both ways. There'll be stolen Biden ballots and stolen Trump ballots. You remember the hanging Chads thing in the 2000 election? It was like, did someone really mean to? It was in Florida. Did somebody really mean to vote for Gore or Bush? Because the Chad, the little punch card, it was a pregnant Chad. the punch card wasn't fully punched. So did they really mean to vote for that? And so we'll descend into that kind of madness, like the signature matches, or it doesn't match, or how close does it need to match, and it's just going to be so awful. And what it's going to do is just give both sides an excuse to not accept the outcome of the election. They're not going to accept the vote count because they don't want to. This is pretty much what it is. They just don't want to. But now, like, the media and the rhetoric and all this stuff is giving everyone an excuse to feel as though they are correct, to feel like they're right, and that is it's a good feeling to feel like you're not only am I right, but I'm right with a whole bunch of other people. That's sort of like righteousness, right? So what happens when multiple sides, multiple factions grant themselves permission to be, call it morally righteous about the outcome of the election and not accept what the count is, essentially, and not accept what they are told they need to accept? One side just goes home and is mad? I don't think so. That's the issue. Is it's not just what the fuck are you doing in the street? That's what everyone's afraid of, is more people becoming so extreme that they feel motivated to do they feel motivated to do bad things. How do you gauge that? Because there are a whole bunch of people sitting around not doing anything because we canceled civilization because of COVID. So you have a bunch of people sitting around being propagandized to, fearmongered to, manipulated by various media, be it social or news or whatever. And these people are being told that we're operating at a grand scale. This is the most important election of our lives. And in some sense, I kind of agree. Because I've never seen everything so crazy before. And I lived through 9/11, right? I mean, I was on the West Coast. I didn't live through the attacks, but I watched it happen, and no one knew what was going to happen, and it continued to just sort of get worse and worse as we went along. What the fuck are you doing? It's not even raining. You don't even have an excuse. What were you doing? Ugh, God. Okay, when I become mayor, first bullet point, we fix the roads, okay? Can we start with that? Can we fix the roads? Because this is just chitty chitty bang bang, like all ridiculous. The traffic is coming back. Oh, this makes me angry. This makes me irrationally angry in ways you don't understand. People sitting at home, there's no jobs, blah blah blah, everyone's mad. There's a variety of different reasons to baked in reasons to not accept the outcome of the election. That is so, right? I want to be in this thing anyway. And then this is something I've pointed out before. If you listen to my content, it's just, if we're talking about taking control of the largest military, nuclear stockpile, largest economy, basically largest government in the history of the world, what is not on the table? Well, undermining the legitimacy of the elections is not off the table. And that's where you start to get to that color revolution argument that, like, this is being done on purpose because this is a thing you do when you try to take over a country or manipulate a country, is you make everyone suspicious of each other and suspicious of each other's motives and factionalized. So factionalized, just you have like a left wing and a right wing, and they don't trust anything the other side does. And now owning firearms makes you in one faction, whereas the other faction doesn't own firearms. Well, that's a terrible idea in my opinion, but it's a clear distinction. It's a clear signifier of which faction you're in. So, in terms of, like, you know, chopping the polity, is that the right word? Is that too fancy? The polity? The citizenry into different factions and then turning them against each other. This is why the founding fathers were against political parties. They were like, no, it's just a system and it works. This is how it works. It works this way. You don't need political parties. You just have states and people vote and that's it. Political parties become power brokers, though. And it's really difficult to combat when they can concentrate lots of money and power and influence together and create these factions. Now, there are cultural factions that are separate from the political parties. Like, the libertarians don't actually like the Republican Party because the Republican Party are also socialists. And I know how it sounds when I say that. You're going to be like, Kyle, what are you talking about? Ask me about it. I'll try to explain it. I'll try to explain it. But yeah, well, yeah, we're at an impasse. I mean, it's really a tricky problem, and either candidate for president, especially, needs to have an overwhelming, come on, pigeon, get out of the way. I don't want to run you over. Needs to have basically an overwhelming victory in order to rule out election fuckery. Something like that. All right, that's enough from me for one day. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.